Ég staðið við gluggann, heyrt talað komandi harðari, mísandi aldrei fyrr séð hann.
Before we get any further along, like none of this that I'm doing is like, what does it all mean? What did he mean? Who is he and who is she? Like those things are like, you know, gotta be open to interpretation for the listener. So I'm don't
the
want to
artistic license.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna sit here like Monday morning quarterback, like, well, Bubbi, you know, what he really meant was, you know, this, because obviously, you know, blah blah blah. So we're just gonna focus on, you know, the translation of it all, and I might also mess up something in the translation, just FYI, but yeah. Komdu sæll, Ethan.
Komdu sæll?
Já, gaman að sjá þig, gaman að sjá þig. Við ætlum að fara yfir lag í dag.
Já.
Þú valdir þetta lag af plötunni hans Bubba, Kona, sem kom út 1986.
Einmitt.
Og lagið heitir Talað við gluggann.
Já.
Og ég búinn að hlusta á upptöku sem að þú gerðir af laginu, þar sem að þú syngur og spilar á gítar.
Já.
Og það hljómar ótrúlega vel. Ég að segja það og ég hef spurt aðra sem að hafa hlusta líka og þeir segja sömuleiðis. Þetta hljómar mjög vel.
Vá, takk kærlega.
Já, þannig að til hamingju, þú stóðst þig mjög vel. We're here with you today, Ethan, and you chose this song from Bubbi Morthens, the title of the song being Talað við gluggann, and it's off his 1986 album, Kona.
Exactly.
Why this song? And I think, you know, why this period of time for Icelandic music, because I think this period for you has a special meaning and affinity and significance. Yeah,
that's true. I guess for this song specifically, I had to just, one of the ways that I try to absorb as much Icelandic as possible is watching Icelandic television and things like that, whatever I can find online. And I came across Kvöldstund með listamenni with Megas, where he is hosting the show where he's interviewing artists, and the subject of this particular episode was, of course, Bubbi Morthens. And it's basically interview segments intermittently with live acoustic performances. And so the first song that he performed in this show was Talað við gluggann, and I noticed when I began listening to it that there were phrases and sentences and things like that that were jumping out at me that I could understand, which isn't always the case. My listening comprehension is still generally kind of poor at this point, but and so it just his performance was compelling, and also understanding bits and pieces of lyrics led me to kind of want to explore it further. And so I thought, well, what better way to kind of familiarize myself with the language and with the words than to just learn it and play it, you know. And as far as the 80s go, I guess, to answer your question, my interest in Icelandic music began with Björk, as with probably many foreigners. But that led me, of course, to things like the Sugar Cubes, Kvöld, Kapitikaras, and of course the film Rock í Reykjavík. And this kind of being at the very outset of the 80s kind of is like this very significant for me as a foreigner anyway, it seems to have this very significant kind of, it's what I'm looking for. It's like this is kind of the starting gun almost for the
Right.
80s and what would become the 80s, where all these like new wave and post-punk and kind of at the same time like folk and all this other stuff. It seems like just sort of this explosion happened in Icelandic music of all different kinds of stuff. And yeah, and just the 80s in general, I'm already drawn to. So it just seems like a lot happened then. And it was really interesting.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's absolutely spot on. And, you know, you mentioned Björk, and I think,
Yep.
you know, when we talk about, you know, musical influencers, you know, figures that loom large in Icelandic music, I think you have to mention, obviously, Björk, but also Bubbi.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, as you mentioned, you know, coming from it as a foreigner, you know, I think most foreigners, if they know Icelandic music, they know Björk, but not necessarily as many know about Bubbi, who, you know, primarily writes his music almost exclusively in Icelandic.
Of course. Yeah.
So you chose this song, Talað, gluggann.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And just before we got started today with the call, I was sort of singing to myself something else. Blue Bayou. Are you familiar with that song?
I'm actually not.
Like the lyrics go like, I feel so bad, I got a worried mind, I'm so lonely all the time. Since I left my baby behind on Blue Bayou. And I don't know, you know, the connection, it's sort of like like the sadness of it, I guess. I think maybe translates. And that is something that is in the lyrics, but, you know, listening to it, maybe like to the words, obviously you wouldn't necessarily pick up on it, but I think the feeling in the music is there. So kind of like a melancholy.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that translates for me, at least, is a similar kind of feeling, certainly.
Cool. Ég ætla að skipta yfir á íslensku núna. Og ég ætla að tala við þig textan. Og ég að hugsa að, má ég byrja á því að lesa textan? Ég les textan og við getum farið yfir framburði.
Fullkomlega.
Talað við gluggann. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, heyrt hann tala, komandi harðari, nístandi jél. Aldrei fyrr séð hann, svo hryggan stara. Þegar þú kvaddir, hvað ég skildi hann vel. Sumarið farið, það fraus í hylnum. Eins og hvítt lín kom fyrsti snjórinn í nótt. Gestirnir dansa á ísuðum línum. En hér inni allt stillt og rótt. Eldurinn í arninum með seiðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nótt, sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rugga þér blítt þar til allt var hljótt. Og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svarað því. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, heyrt hann tala, spurt hef ég hann, sér hann þig þar sem þú ferð. Þakinn rósum, kaldur, vill ekki svara, hvort ást til mín í hjartanu þú berð. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, séð hann stara á norðanvindinn út í fjúkinu leika sér. Stundum heyri ég hlátur, í gólffjölum, marra, hjarta tekur kipp, en það ekkert hér. Eldurinn í arninum með seiðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nótt, sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rugga þér blítt þar til allt var hljótt. Og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svarað því. Hvað finnst þér ekki nógu gott?
Já, Það erfitt fyrir mig að segja einu, en ég skil setningu eins og nefnus ég stæði við gluggann eins og á ensku mig langar að segja sort of like I had stood by the window or I am standing by the window, something like that.
Yeah.
Heyrt hann tala, so I heard him speak.
Heard him speak, yeah.
Okay, heard him speak. And then komandi harðari. Ég vissi ekki komandi harðari eða nístandi él.
Right, yeah. So komandi harðari, coming hardship.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like the hardship ahead.
Okay.
And yel is one of many, many words that we have for snow.
Okay.
A particular type of snow. So it's like hail.
Okay.
And stinging, nístandi.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or after it says aldrei fyrr séð hann, which I want to say is like basically never before seen him or something of that to that effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So hrykkan stara. Stara would be like I want to say based on what I see throughout the song that it's like staring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stare.
Yeah.
And then hrykkan, I'm not sure what that one means either.
Yeah. So not a very common word. So
okay.
Að vera hryggur.
Okay.
Is basically to be sad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So it's like so sadly staring kind of.
Yeah, staring so sadly.
Okay, sure. Okay. And then þegar þú I there's only in this one there's only one word I don't understand, but it, as is often the case for me, it's like that throws off the whole sentence because it becomes þegar þú kvaddir hvað ég skildi hann vel. So the words I do know would be like what I understand him well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big gap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kvaddir comes from að kveðja.
Okay.
Which is to say goodbye.
Okay.
So when you said goodbye, how well I understood him.
I see.
The sad window.
I see. That makes it's so weird how that can like that one little puzzle piece all of a sudden it like makes sense, you know.
So next we have Sumarið farið, það fraus í hylnum.
Yeah, I want to say something to the effect of the summer is leaving or is gone, perhaps. It leaves into the hills or something of that sort. I'm not really sure.
Good guess. Yeah. Okay. So the summer is gone. It froze in a pool of water or in like the deepest part of a river.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Frös í hylnum. Or the root word for hylnum. What is that exactly?
Hylur.
Okay. Hylur.
Is the root word, yeah. Hylur.
Okay. All right. And then the next one's easier because it's just eins og hvítlín, as white linen, right?
Yeah.
Came the first snow tonight.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Or to paraphrase, the first snow, which was like white linen, arrived tonight.
Þrestirnir is not a word I've heard, I don't think.
No.
Þrestirnir dansa á Ísöðumlínum. So they, whatever þrestirnir is, dance in Ísöðumlínum. I wanted to say that the word Ísöðum pertains to ice in some way.
Exactly right. Yeah. So this particular bird species, thruster,
Okay.
looks like it has a lot of different ones, different names in English. Like bluebird, blackbird, redwing, thrush.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've not heard of thrush, but I've definitely heard of bluebirds and blackbirds at least.
We can just say birds, you know, like the birds are dancing on the icy lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And hér inni allt stillt og rótt. Hér inni is basically in, but here inside, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. And allt, I know that is everything or all.
Yeah.
Stillt og rótt, I was not familiar with. Okay.
Quiet
Still and quiet.
and peaceful. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. And then our friend, the chorus here. Let's see here. Eldurinn í arninum með seiðandi skugga. If I'm not mistaken, skugga means like shadows or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Horrid.
But the rest of it.
Yeah, no, it's not an easy line. So the fire in the fireplace with its mesmerizing shadow asks me, where is she tonight? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so the pronunciation of that is something like Eldurinn í arninum með seiðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nótt.
Yeah. Amen.
And that sounded really good in the song.
Oh, really?
But I mean, it's not necessarily an easy sentence or a line to say.
Because, I don't know, for me, Icelandic is a very palatable sort of language. I tend to overestimate my ability to just kind of like do the muscle memory thing like I do with English a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I have a cursory understanding of what this says, so I can just kind of go into it. But what was happening was I was pulling in words from like everywhere because it's just it became this jumble of nonsense until I learned it word by word, you know.
Do you have the whole song memorized?
I do now, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah, good. Good job.
I had to, you know, in order to be able to sing it convincingly, because otherwise I'm like, Simba, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rugga þér blítt, þar til allt var hljótt.
Yeah. Thinking about your head, I want to say, or something like that.
I can see why you would think that, yeah.
Okay.
Because að halda can mean to suppose, but it also means
to hold, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hárrétt.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do get those confused a lot. Halda. Yeah. Okay.
Which is totally understandable. So the sentence would translate as who was prone or who was used to holding your head and rocking you gently until everything was quiet.
Okay. That does make sense. And þar til allt var hljótt. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you can take it away for the rest of this. Og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svarað því.
Yeah, and I cannot answer it, basically.
Answer it, yeah. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, heyrt hann tala, spurt hef ég hann, sér hann þig þar sem þú ferð.
Yeah.
Þakinn rósum, kaldur, vill ekki svara, hvort ást til mín í hjartanum þú berð. Now, I just want to say before we get any further along, like none of this that I'm doing is like, what does it all mean? What did he mean? Who is he and who is she? Like those things are like, you know, gotta be open to interpretation for the listener. So I'm
sure.
don't want to give
artistic license.
Yeah, so I'm not going to sit here like Monday morning quarterback, like, well, Bubbi, what he really meant was, this, because obviously, blah, blah, blah. So we're just going to focus on, the translation of it all. And I might also mess up something in the translation, just FYI, but yeah, so I think we're going to get the gist of what is being said here. Ég hef staðið við gluggann. I have stood by the window. Heyrt hann tala, heard him speak. Spurt hef ég hann. I've asked him, sér hann þig þar sem þú ferð? Does he see you where you go? Þakinn rósum kaldur, vill ekki svara. Covered in roses, cold, doesn't want to answer. Hvort ást til mín í hjartanu þú berð? Whether love for me in your heart you carry. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, séð hann stara á norðanvindinn, út í fjúkinu leika sér. Stundum heyri ég hlátur í gólffjölum marra, hjarta tekur kipp, en það ekkert hér.
Já. Á norðanvindinn is, I want to say, at the northern wind?
Já.
Okay. Frábært.
Hárrétt.
Okay. Úti, like outside. The rest of it, I did not. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's more snow words.
Okay. That would explain it then, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So fjúkinu is the definite article, drifting snow.
Okay. Interesting.
So this is a great sentence because I've stood by the window, seen it stare at the northern winds, out in the drifting snow, playing around, leika sér.
Okay.
The northern wind playing in the, twirling snow. Yeah.
It's very vivid, like imagery and very creative phrasing. I like that a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that, it's kind of an understatement to say that Bubbi has a way with words, that he has like really beautiful songs that he writes with these very rich, deep lyrics.
Yeah.
Stundum heyri ég hlátur í gólffjölum marra, hjarta tekur kipp, en það ekkert hér.
Yeah. I know, of course, sometimes I hear.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what hlátur is exactly. Okay. Laughter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay. Í gólffjölum marra was not familiar with.
That's not easy at all. Yeah. So he's saying in the floorboards creaking.
Okay.
Or like I can hear, sometimes I hear laughter, sometimes I hear the creaking in the floorboards.
Okay. And then hjarta tekur kipp, and það ekkert hér. So I know the heart. I don't know tekur kipp, but I know that it is not there, or here rather. But.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's two separate things in that sentence.
Okay.
Hjarta tekur kipp, and það ekkert hér.
Sure. Okay.
And so I would translate it as the heart skips a beat. Okay. But there's nothing here. So we're at sort of the final stage of the song now, and I did tell you this before, but I really thought like you were. This was definitely like sort of like closer to tilting at windmills. Definitely not going after low-hanging fruit, because this is a long song. In terms of like the text that is in here, and it's not easy text.
Yeah. I was nervous about kind of the attacking his style of delivery on this one, because it has kind of this prose like sound. It is so wordy, and I think of somebody maybe like in the English world, maybe like Sting, or somebody who his songs tend to be just like each line is like a whole paragraph, and he's telling like a story, and it's like it's an undertaking, but worthwhile because it's fun.
That's good. That's good to hear. Yeah. Let's jump into the final part here. So,
Okay.
eldurinn í arninum með seiðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nótt sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rugga þér blítt þar til allt var hljótt og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svara því.
Yeah.
So I gotta stop again because I was saying, oh, we're finally at the final part of the song, but this is like a callback, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Or a repetition of something that we've already covered. But
yeah.
So maybe let me put you on the spot here and you tell me now what all of this means.
Oh boy.
This final part.
This final part. Okay, let's see here. So there are a couple words that I did forget already. Let's see here. Seiðandi, which I remember kind of the idea, just not exactly what the word was.
Yeah, so think about it like when the fire's doing this.
Okay. Yeah.
What does it do to you, the one watching the fire, when it's sort of dancing around?
Mesmerized.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Akkurat. Akkurat.
Okay. So the fireplace, the fire in the fireplace with mesmerizing shadows asks me, where is she tonight? Who was then, that was the other one, I think.
Used to.
Thank you.
Used to, as in, I'm used to this.
Yeah. Okay. Who was used to cradling your head and rocking you. Bli. I was for Bli. I did forget Bli. Gently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And rocking you gently until all was quiet.
Yep.
And then I cannot, again I say, answer it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. Frábært.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And so I guess I would kind of go back to what I said earlier, which is that I'm a little bit hesitant to open up a can of worms of like, do you want to, try to fix any of the pronunciation? Because I listened to the song and it sounds really good.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll just open it up to you, Ethan, and ask you if there's a particular area where you feel like, this doesn't sound as good as it could.
The first thing that I noticed was that I think I said something like nistandi instead of nistante. I'm pretty sure. And then let's see here.
Can I since you said that, I'll just say it again. So nistandi.
Yes. Ég skal mun það. But yeah, I think as far as the rest of it goes, I guess I'm comfortable with it. I caught myself right before I recorded. I noticed that I was saying vil ekki svara instead of vill ekki svara. So I caught that just in the nick of time.
Okay, good. Very good. Yeah.
I'm okay with the rest of it, but that's just me.
Can I just, because earlier I was just kind of saying the things.
Okay.
So let me attempt my version of singing, which is nothing close to what you did, and just see if anything strikes you as, if it helps or if it's just
okay. Gotcha.
Screaming kittens. Okay. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, heyrt hann tala komandi harðari, nístandi él. Aldrei fyrr séð hann, svo hryggan stara, þegar þú kvaddir, hvað ég skildi hann vel. Sumarið farið, það fraus í hylnum, Eins og hvítlín kom fyrsti snjórinn í nótt. Þrestirnir dansa á ísuðum línum. En hér inni allt stillt og rótt. Eldurinn í arninum með seiðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nótt, sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rugga þér blítt þar til allt var hljótt. Og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svarað því. Okay, I think I definitely messed that part up. Okay. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, heyrt hann tala, spurt hef ég hann, sér hann þig þar sem þú ferð, þakinn rósum, kaldur vill ekki svara, hvort ást til mín í hjartanu þú berð. Let me ask you, Ethan, since you're the singer, you've sung this. So the next part, how would you sing this one?
Okay, let's see here. So he says, I tried to mimic his phrasing as much as possible, just to not phrase things awkwardly, but I think I took a couple liberties in this part because I said like, ég hef staðið við gluggann, séð hann stara, this part, að norðan vindinn út í fjúkinu leika sér. So what he does is he front loads the hlátur. So he says something like stundum heyri ég hlátur í golfjöllum mara. Whereas I did like stundum heyri ég hlátur í golfjöllum mara. So I don't know if that is weird or anything. And then hjartað tekur kipp, en það ekkert hér. And he kind of, when he says that first part, he kind of says like just hjartað tekur kipp. He kind of like just speaks it really casually. So I wasn't sure exactly how to do it, but
yeah, I like this part. I like this version of what we're doing right now better, when you sing and I don't sing. But it's also because I mean you've been doing it over and over again, so you know sort of the rhythm of it all. I get lost in the rhythm. So ég hef staðið við gluggann, séð hann stara á norðan vindinn, út í fjúkinu leika sér.
Yeah.
Stundum heyri ég hlátur í golfjöllum marra, hjartað tekur kipp, en það ekkert hér.
Yeah. That one was difficult for me too. The það ekkert hér, like my mouth doesn't want to say ekkert hér, like all together, kind of.
Because he says it fast, right?
Yeah. And so
En það ekkert hér, en það ekkert hér.
Something like that, yeah.
En það ekkert hér, ekkert hér, ekkert hér. Yeah. Yeah, not easy to say,
Yeah.
Okay, we're at the final part, thank God. Okay. Eldurinn í arninum með seiðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nótt, sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rugga þér blítt þar til allt var hljótt. Og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svarað því.
Yeah. Well, amen. Yeah. And then what was the other part? There was a word in there. Oh, sometimes too, it's tricky for me to know like which words to kind of which words can kind of just run together a little bit. Because I noticed that when he sings it, he kind of says haltum, ad haltum, like he kind of, and same with ég skilti hann. He just says sort of ég skiltan.
Skiltan, yeah.
Yeah,
Skiltan.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a little bit similar to like if you were talking, something like that would also occur.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, this is kind of obvious to anybody who's ever listened to a song, but like the lyrics, the songwriter, performer will bend the lyrics to fit the music. But yeah, skiltan, ég skiltan.
Okay.
The way that it's written is like ég skildi hann.
Yeah.
But if you listen to somebody say that, they would say ég skildan.
Yeah.
Ég skildan.
Yeah. Or ég snerti hann in ammæli eftir sigurmáðarnir.
Yeah.
Hún snerti hann. Snert hann.
Ég snert hann.
Yeah.
Ég snert hann.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I'm not going to get tired of saying that I think you did like a really phenomenal job with the song.
Tack för det. Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu sömuleiðis. Og ég heyrði þetta frá fleirum að þú gerðir þetta mjög vel og það kom mér á óvart, not in a bad way, en það kom mér á óvart að þú hljómar eins og Bubbi þegar þú ert að syngja lagið. Finnst þér?
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that very much. I'm glad to hear it. Tack för det.
Yeah.
Ég staðið við gluggann, heyrt hann tala komandi harðari, mísandi aldrei fyrr séð hann, svo huggan stara, þegar þú hvattir, hvað ég skilt hann vel. Sumrið farið, það frös í himnum, eins og hvítinn kom fyrstu snjórinn í nótt. Frestirnir dansa á ísuðum línum, en ég inni allt stillt og rótt. Eldarinn í arninum með sauðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nótt, sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rukka þér mig þar til allt var mjótt. Og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svarað því. Ég staðið við gluggann, heyrt hann tala, spurði ég hann, sér að þig þar sem þú ferð, þakin rósum, kaldur vill ekki svara, hvort ástin mín í hjartanu þú berð. Ég hef staðið við gluggann, séð þar stara, á norðan vindur út í fjúkinu leika sér. En stundum heyr ég hlátur í golfjöllum marra, það ekkert fjær. Eldurinn í arninu með seiðandi skugga spyr mig hvar hún í nóg sem var vön að halda höfuð þitt og rukka þér blítt þar til allt var hljóð. Og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki, og ég get ekki svar.